Freemasonry has always emphasized the principle of universal brotherhood throughout all of its history. One circumstance which never fails to challenge this principle is war. When the specter of war falls on a nation, the moral principles of its citizens are put to the most difficult test. During many conflicts, Freemasons have found themselves facing their brothers on opposite sides. Freemasonry emphasizes the moral duties and responsibilities that we all possess, and for so much of human history, military service has been considered the duty of the able citizens of a nation. But no conflict is more painful than civil war, fratricidal conflict between neighbors, friends, and even brother Masons. The American Civil War was a dark and terrible time for the fledgling nation, but even in this darkness there were many instances of Freemasons who helped their fellow Masons to survive the harsh conditions the war brought to America. Throughout the war, these men who would otherwise have been brothers were ordered by their governments to kill each other instead of offering the assistance to the unfortunate that Masonic ritual encourages. Many Masonic acts of brotherhood committed during the war were towards prisoners. In this era, prisoners of war were considered a nuisance and often, if wounded, were simply left to die. Many Masonic officers on both sides, however, often intervened on behalf of Masonic prisoners belonging to their enemies, offering aid and comfort which at the time was ridiculed as both treasonous and ultimately pointless. Despite the war ripping the country apart, the Freemasons on the battlefield were determined to continue forging the links of universal brotherhood that would prove stronger than the people's desire for war. In death, the Freemasons of the American Civil War were respectful to their fallen brethren on the opposite side. Many Masonic funerals were conducted privately for those brothers who fell as enemy combatants. Even when the fighting was fiercest, these last rites were accorded to those who had been brothers in life. As the final surrender of the South came to a close, Masonic officers, rather than ordering the humiliation and punishment of the defeated and surrendering Southern forces, ordered them instead to be saluted with Masonic honors. As the war came to a close, these officers saw it as their particular duty to restore the fraternal nature of the nation after such a brutal war and used the Brotherhood of Masonry, whose mystic teachings and high philosophy were shared by both sides. In the end, their efforts have resulted in a united nation, strengthened by the bonds of solidarity nurtured in those trying times.